Welcome to the ER Break Room, the University of Florida Department of Emergency Medicine's podcast. In here, we get to know each other, celebrate our achievements, and highlight our initiatives. I'm your host, Michael Petrauskas. We have so much to talk about today before our featured guest, so let's get going. First up, pediatric plastic surgeon Dr. Jessica Ching is doing extraordinary work in the field of wellness, something near and dear to my heart. She has combined her own survey with the Wellbeing Index and Standpoint survey to tell a story about the Department of Surgery, and now she has graciously offered to do the same for our department. She does need your help, listeners, to accomplish this, however, so please fill out the survey that was sent out earlier this week. There will be a couple more reminders for that, but these results will be used to advocate for us as a department and our well-being. On to new faces and old faces in new places. Welcome to Dr. Fahim Gurgis, and I apologize if I didn't say your last name correctly. And I apologize to all if I missed names today. But anyways, Dr. Fahim is going to be coming. He is here now, but he came from University of Florida, Jacksonville, and he will be serving as Vice Chair of Research. Welcome also to Charlotte Hobson, who comes to us from UF Jacksonville. She will be serving as our new data management analyst for research. Welcome full-time faculty hires Dr. Marsha Lewis, Gabriel Gomez, Andrew Smith, Beulah Augustin, Joseph Pompa, and Piers Frieden. You all are familiar to us as former residents and or fellows, and we are lucky to keep you here at UF. Welcome to Dr. Anthony Meyer, who will be a new face, and he'll be new to UF. He's coming from other institutions, and he will be working clinically in all four of the emergency departments. Welcome to Lena Calderon, who has a Master's of Health Administration and is serving as an administrative fellow in our department currently. On the sadder side, we wish Dr. Lynn Ferrugia, Emily Young, and Bridget farewell and best of luck. I believe we'll still see Dr. Ferrugia around. I think she's going to be doing some as-needed shifts, some OPS shifts. And we do expect to see Emily around as she is also doing some OPS for the department. But also she's only one floor below us in the College of Medicine Finance and Administration office. So also congrats to Emily on her new position. In terms of highs of the month, Dr. Cameron Busk is the new Assistant Program Director for the Pediatric EM Fellowship. Congratulations, Cam. Dr. Maritza Plaza, who up until this time served in that role as Assistant Program Director for the Peds EM Fellowship, she will now be focusing her energies at the Center for Experiential Learning and Simulation as its Medical Director. So congrats, Maritza. Kudos to PGY3 Senior Resident Dr. Lenexa Moraes, who has been elected co-chair of the House Staff Council Executive Committee. Our beloved Dr. Sitha Kanopak and Jessica Dalton are the new interim medical directors for the freestanding EDs. Woohoo! You two are picking right up where Dr. Matt Shannon left off. And speaking of Dr. Shannon, he is the new interim vice chair of clinical affairs. So congrats to all and good luck on the new positions. The Global Health Fellowship hit a milestone by becoming SAEM approved due to the hard work of Dr. Torben Becker and Zach Mayo Frey. Zach is still, even though he's left the department, his impact is still being echoed throughout the group. So congrats to the fellowship and to both of you too. Dr. Chrissy Zaretsky was voted to serve on the Florida College of Emergency Physicians Board of Directors. Kudos, Chrissy. And congrats to Dr. Beulah Augustin for receiving a Robert A. Wynn Diversity in Clinical Trials Career Development Award. The goal of this award is to increase the diversity of patients enrolled in clinical trials and to enhance the development of therapeutics for all populations. Fantastic work, Beulah. Props to Dr. Giuliano DePortu, who was July UF at Play Summer Photo Contest winner. Oh, I stumbled my way through that one. Jeez. But as you guys know, Dr. Giuliano DePortu was on this podcast as a former featured guest, and also another former featured guest, in fact, the inaugural featured guest, Dr. Colleen Gutman, is the last high of the month, and this is the best for last. So a huge congratulations to Colleen for securing a K-23 Career Development Award from the National Institute on Minority Health and Health Disparities. This is a massive award, and this merits its own feature on the podcast. And I hope to bring Colleen on next month to talk about this further. So congratulations to Colleen, to Juliana, to everyone else who we've just talked about today. Well, today on the ER Break Room, I am really excited and honored to have a very special guest. And let me introduce Dr. Jennifer Light, who recently retired last year. And yes, and retirement clearly has been going well for her because it was really difficult to schedule this interview. So Dr. Light, Jennifer, welcome to the ER Break Room, the University of Florida's podcast. Welcome.
Thank you so much. And I must admit, prior to talking to you, I had never listened to a podcast.
Really?
Really.
Okay.
And I'm a reader, so I do much better with printed materials. And I did go and listen to a couple of your old ones.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Just to get an idea.
Wonderful. Maybe this will open a whole new avenue of things to do in retirement. But it sounds like you don't need more avenues. You got plenty of things going on.
This has been great. I was one of those that thought I would never retire, and I'd always told my nurses, if I collapse here, stick me under the desk. Do not call a code. Do not. I will haunt you forever. But, as the pandemic dragged on and it got busier and busier, it really lost a lot of its fun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this has been nice. And yes, it was hard to schedule things because I have lots of outside interests now that I've never had the time to enjoy.
I am so excited to talk about those too. Absolutely. But let's go back to the beginning here. So I did a little bit of, believe it or not, Dr. Light, there is stuff on the internet about you, and I did a little bit of researching. So I have some questions here about things, right? I know, it's crazy, right? Yeah. So I don't know where you're from. So tell me where did it all begin? Where are you from? What your family growing up?
You can tell is sort of an Appalachian accent.
Oh, okay.
And I was born in East Tennessee, up near Virginia and Kentucky, in that area. Steve Spurrier went to high school around my same time in Johnson City, which was like 20 miles away from Kingsport, where I was born.
Kingsport, Tennessee. Okay.
Yeah, so I grew up there until high school, and my mom, who was chief of staff for a congressman, very conservative from East Tennessee, asked her to move to Washington. So I spent some of my high school years in Washington, D.C.
Interesting. What high school was that?
At Francis Hammond in Alexandria.
Okay. Is that a public school?
It's a public school.
Public school. Okay. And was there something that was, I mean, you mentioned, okay, so your mother, chief of staff for a congressman, you said?
Congressman.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Was there something from that time that made you think about what you want to do for a living or maybe not do for a living?
I was always good in the sciences, and I'm a pretty concrete step-by-step person, and I'm not a risk taker. So I decided on a path, and I just sort of went down that path.
Okay, nice. And did you any brothers or sisters?
I have one sister who is a veterinarian. Actually, she's an anesthesiology veterinarian at Texas A&M. We ended up both pretty well educated.
That's incredible.
She's in Texas now. My mom's dad.
Oh, wow.
We've been lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. That's incredible. Two, like, and very different. I mean, I know there's always maybe kind of, sometimes when I tell students about pediatric medicine, it's like, it's kind of like a little bit, sometimes a little like veterinary. You're trying to figure out, divine what the baby is thinking or telling you through other things and vital signs. So that's interesting. There's some similarities. Yeah, exactly. So, all right. So you go to high school in DC, and did you like Washington, DC?
I loved it.
Yeah.
It was loads of fun. Something was always going on. A lot of the things are I went back there for training. So I went to college. I went to Vassar in New York.
New York. All right.
And then went back to the South to University of Tennessee for medical school because,
Mm-hmm.
Michael, do you know what my
Yes.
medical school cost?
Oh my God, I don't want to know. It's going to hurt me to hear, but tell me.
$400 a quarter.
That's
I'm
incredible.
serious. Less than $2,000 a year.
Oh my gosh, that is
So
incredible. Good
Vassar
for
was
you.
pretty expensive and my mom
Right.
had paid for it. So I wanted to
Uh-huh.
help out.
That's
And
nice.
then I got married there
Okay.
and he was in the Navy in medical
Oh, okay.
school.
Okay.
And we ended up in Washington, D.C. for my training. So he was at Bethesda Naval and I was
Okay.
at Children's Hospital, National Medical Center.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I've just been lucky.
Yeah.
I've landed at all these good places.
Yes.
And so I
That's
was there for
incredible.
6 years.
So 6 years there because so you did pediatrics residency,
Hmm.
correct? And
And
then
chief
an chief
residency.
residency. And at that time, like, is there a fellowship that came after that, or how do you
Critical
figure?
care medicine. And actually, I'm like Peter Saffer, who was at
Okay.
Pittsburgh and is the father of CPR, as you know,
Okay. Uh-huh.
and established the first ambulance service.
Mm-hmm.
He had started training people in Pittsburgh and mostly anesthesiologists in critical care medicine. It was
Hmm.
not a boarded specialty at all.
Wow.
And so some of those people ended up at Children's
Uh-huh.
and they trained me. So
Wow.
it was sort of like I got in at the very beginning of critical care
Wow.
medicine. Certainly there was no PIM then. I mean, emergency
Right.
medicine was just becoming a recognized specialty.
Wow. Would that
And I
been
was lucky. And it was through their contacts once I finished training that I found out about some of the people at the University of Florida because Richard Melker,
okay?
who you don't know, I mean, he was a while back, but you know the Melker Crike kit.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
and
Yes.
he was a professor at Florida, and he
Really?
and his family still live in town. He has one son that is an ENT guy here in town.
Really?
So I had a referral to him because at that time he was in charge of the emergency department.
Really?
Yeah, it
That's
was under
fascinating.
anesthesia,
Really? Okay.
and that's how I
Wow.
got my job there.
Oh my gosh, that's so interesting. Wow.
It is very convoluted. So our
Yes. Yes.
department
Mm-hmm.
for years was under anesthesia. And
No way.
then, and I think it was probably in the late 80s, we
Uh-huh.
got moved because
Okay.
we were sort of the bastard stepchildren. We didn't fit anywhere. And we got moved to the Department of Surgery.
Oh my gosh.
And we were under the Department of Surgery for many, many years
Really?
as a division. And then when
Yeah.
we became a department,
Uh-huh.
we started having our own chairs
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and moved more into the formal world of emergency medicine. But
Wow.
that was like in the late 90s.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So wait, well, I have a quick question more about your critical. So when you changed, you learned critical care. Was that broad, like adults and
Okay.
children at that
Yes.
time? Yes.
Yes, because it
Yeah.
was both. Because
Uh-huh.
there wasn't really certainly no specialty in pediatrics.
Oh
And
wow.
it was just an
Wow.
emerging specialty in the adult world. So
Mm-hmm.
as a fellow, I spent a fair amount of time at George Washington
Mm-hmm.
doing ICUs, working in ICUs there
In the adult world.
in the
Wow.
adult world.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I had a lot of experience in the adult world. And
Yeah.
at its origin, really critical care for peds and adults
Mm-hmm.
is somewhat similar.
Yeah. Wow.
The one thing I
Incredible.
would always
Yeah.
say I'm a little bit weaker on, of course,
Mm-hmm.
are cardiac diseases other than congenital heart
Congenital,
diseases.
yeah, you own those.
I own those.
Yes.
But things like coronary artery disease
Uh-huh.
and a lot of the dysrhythmias we don't see much in the pediatric world.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But, I was very comfortable working on sick adults.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've always considered myself a clinician as opposed to a researcher. So
Mm-hmm.
it was somewhat easy to work
Mm-hmm.
in the adult world. And I became very comfortable. And I worked in it for 25, 28 years.
Which is crazy too. I heard this story from your colleagues, and as a pediatric trained person, then of course you're critical care, but you were working with adults
Oh,
all the time.
every day, all
Yeah.
day.
Yes.
About 75% of my patients were adults. Now, that having been said, if kids came
Yeah.
in, you can be
Yeah.
sure I would try to see them.
Oh my gosh, I bet. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, Dr. Lucas, Judy Lucas, she did tell me you had a phrase for the adults when you saw the adults or when you had to see the adults, though.
What did she say?
She said you called it, oh, today I'm working on the dark side.
Oh, that, my friend, is true. And the dark side, oh my golly. Once we made our PGD, the
Yes.
differences really became so dramatic then.
Oh my goodness.
But I'll tell you the flip
Yeah.
side of that.
Yes.
So within our adult ED,
Mm-hmm.
we began carving out a little space for the kids
Mm-hmm.
when we were in the South Tower.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then once we opened the new ED where y'all are
Yeah.
now,
Right. Right.
we even had our own little space there too.
Okay.
And one day, one of the people scheduled to work there couldn't work. And the
Mm-hmm.
on-call system had one of the adult providers that was going to be
Oh.
tagged. And he
Uh-huh.
shall remain nameless, but is a delightful person.
Yes. Yeah.
And he called me up going, Dr. Light, you got to help me out here. I don't want to do this. I'll do anything for you. I'll pay you back whatever you want. And sure enough, I took the shift.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And he walked in later with
Mm-hmm.
an Outback steak dinner for me.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny.
Isn't that funny? He was so
Oh my
grateful that
goodness, that is great.
he had
That is
not
great.
had to work with my little munchkins.
Wow. Oh, that's really funny.
You
That's
know,
a
it's
great
really,
story.
I had such
Yeah.
delightful partners.
Uh-huh. Well,
I'm
speaking
really,
of, I was gonna ask you about. I heard that you and Dr. Adrian Tindo, the former chair, I guess when it became a department, had a great relationship and really worked together to build what we have today.
oh golly. And he's a friend. We stay in touch
Yes.
till today.
Mm-hmm.
He is I was actually sitting at home one day. This is probably in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew my last evaluation. I had told him, Adrian, I'm really getting tired. The dark side was taking it out of me. And I really, I was thinking about retiring.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked and talked. And what can I do? How can I help you out? What would make it easier?
Mm-hmm.
That was in the past. And probably some 9, 10, 12 months later, he calls me up and says, hey, how you doing? I said, I'm doing fine.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I got some news for you. I said, what do you mean you got news for me? And he said, how would you like to start a pediatric ED?
Wow.
I mean, just sort of out of the blue.
Oh,
we
my
knew
goodness.
people were eyeing that space.
Yes.
We knew
Yes.
people wanted it. They were down there measuring the curtains already.
Oh,
like
wow.
Cardiology. Ooh,
oh, my goodness.
But somehow or other, he had wrangled a commitment to start a freestanding, essentially, pediatric ED.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Oh my golly, I sat here and just boo-hooed.
Wow. Oh, wow. That is incredible.
Oh, what?
Wow. It just re-energized you, I'm sure. It just brought you right back. Yeah.
And I got another 12 years.
That's incredible. Incredible. Yeah. Now, before then, what about the PICU? Like, when did that become a thing? And did you spend time working in the PICU at UF?
No, I did. No, not here. When I moved down here, it was run by anesthesia.
Okay.
And it was full. They didn't need anybody.
Oh, wow.
But the ED always needs people.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
So I decided, and through my contact with Rich Melker, I decided to start there.
Mm-hmm.
But I had practiced. Once I finished my fellowship, my husband had been assigned to Newport. He's a pathologist in the Navy.
Okay.
And he had to spend 4 years there. So I actually, this is a funny story too. I actually started at MCV in Richmond in their PICU.
Wow.
And was been attending there for several years. And you will love, well, you probably don't feel much of this, But going back in time, in my medical school, there were like 2 women out of 100 and
Oh
something.
my gosh.
And things, if young women today think today is hard, it was nothing like back then. Um,
Wow.
my chair at Medical College of Virginia, and this was in the 80s,
Uh-huh.
early 80s. When I decided I wanted to start having a family, he informed me that there really was no way that that was going to be possible,
Wow.
and for me to continue in my role in the PICU.
Oh my
You know,
gosh.
even though my partner, John, and I had worked out a
Mm-hmm.
way that, I could take a week off, a month off, and then come back and work for a month.
Mm-hmm.
But it was clear that the chair was not going to support that decision.
Wow.
It was under pediatrics then, surprisingly. I mean, it was a
Wow.
pediatric
Yes.
chair that told me that.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
So for about a year, I left MCV, and a friend from the military was also leaving. He was a critical care doctor in the military, and we
Mm-hmm.
started an ED group in Newport News.
Wow.
So
Huh.
when I worked, I always had another physician on with me that was adults trained.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's another reason I was more comfortable with adults, because I'd really spent a little bit of time taking
Yeah.
care of them.
Yeah.
And so I worked
Yeah.
there for about a year, and then we moved down here,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
the rest is history.
Oh, and the rest is history.
The rest is
Wow. Oh,
history.
incredible. Incredible.
It's been an
Yeah.
interesting journey, and I've lived in a
Yeah.
terrific time.
Oh my gosh.
I've seen a lot of changes. I mean, the
Yeah.
women in
Yeah.
medicine and our roles
Yes.
have changed drastically
Yeah.
from when I
Yeah.
started. Um,
Incredible.
I've just been lucky, and I've been in the
Yeah.
right place at the right time. I received
Yeah.
terrific training in a brand new
Mm-hmm.
specialty,
Mm-hmm.
and I got to see emergency medicine develop also. It's sort of
That's
from its infancy on,
that's true.
and the changes have
Absolutely.
been dramatic.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's so true. You're so right about that. So how did you get the pediatric ER off the ground? I
Oh
mean,
my
put things in
God.
place. They say that your fingerprints are all over that ER and how we do the things that we do and
God,
why
I
we do the
hope
things we
so.
do.
I mean, I really
Oh.
do. That was,
Yeah.
oh, it took a village. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it really took a village, and it took Adrian's commitment.
Mm-hmm.
The man, I'm sure he took such grief, because
Yeah.
peds doesn't pay very well. Yeah, they all have
Mm-hmm.
primary care, and yeah, we have
Mm-hmm.
CHIPS and Medicaid, but
Right.
taking care of kids doesn't pay well. It's not
Yeah.
procedure based,
Right.
and
Right.
most of them are healthy.
Yeah.
Um, and it took a lot of people that jumped in and assisted. Now, there was one point in time when the Department of Pediatrics at UF had moved really to HEH.
Okay.
And they had hired a couple of girls, women. One of them is
Mm-hmm.
Judy Lucas,
Uh-huh.
to work in the
Uh-huh.
ED over there and
Yeah.
help them take care of the kids.
Uh-huh.
So I had those 2 people that I figured
Mm-hmm.
would come back. And
Yes.
then we just started looking and begging and beating the bushes. My first hire was Trish Swan.
Oh wow. Oh
Yeah,
my
and I will
gosh.
never
Yes.
forget
Yeah.
taking her and Mike Falgiani, who was her husband at the time, out to
Uh-huh.
dinner and talking to them and trying to convince her to
Yeah.
come on board,
Uh-huh.
and help build something.
Yes. Yeah.
And she
Yeah.
had a particular interest in education, and had said,
Mm-hmm.
well, yeah, she would. She would really like to work on developing a fellowship. And
Wow.
Adrian bought into that, although it
Yep.
would be several years to get funding.
Oh my
But
gosh, yeah.
she was my first. And I mean, after that, we
Wow.
looked and looked, and it's hard. PIM people do not grow on trees.
Right.
And as you will find out, I don't know what your background is, but getting people to come to Gainesville, Florida,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes is not the easiest thing in the world.
Right. Right.
Okay, you
Yep.
have to
Yep.
convince. I mean, and for a PIM
Mm-hmm.
person who would normally work in a big children's hospital in a big city,
Uh-huh.
it's even harder.
Yeah.
Also, our little core group, like Judy and Trish and me and
Mm-hmm.
Adrian,
Mm-hmm.
we were very particular about the kind of person we wanted to hire.
Yeah.
And as we picked up one here and one there, we spent years working 12-hour shifts because we refused to hire just anyone.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And we knew exactly what we wanted and the kind of people we wanted and the kind of unit we wanted to build.
Yes. Yep.
So we took our time, and the people that bought into that vision were gracious enough to give of themselves and really work sometimes extraordinarily hard just to hold out until we got what we wanted.
Wow.
You know,
That's incredible.
Also, I was really lucky. When I came to the University of Florida, I had a dual appointment. I had my emergency medicine appointment. I had an academic appointment in the Department of Pediatrics.
Okay.
Gerald Schiebler was the chair then, and he gave me an appointment there. So I started making all of these terrific contacts and friendships in the Department of Peds.
Oh, that's smart.
And I kept that up, and I would do things that hopefully helped them out, serve on committees and things like that. So that when it came time to build a pediatric ED, I knew I would be able to call on them as partners so that we could initiate some initiatives and hopefully streamline the process of getting kids upstairs, which was, as you know, one of the biggest issues in the adult world.
Oh my gosh.
And truncating some of the workups that were being required in the ED.
Oh.
Shake your head.
Can I thank you now, because I work in the adult and the ped side, and the ped side is
dramatically different.
Thank you for that.
Dramatically different. And these are still people. These are women and men that come down to the ED and see the kids.
Wow.
I mean, I hope that's continued, and it's been your experience.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All the consultants come bedside.
They
all
show
the time.
up.
Yes.
And I could probably, in my 25, 28 years in the adult ED, I could probably count on one hand the number of times I saw an adult medicine attending in the ED. That's
exactly. Yep.
So that made it easier too. Yeah. To recruit people and to build relationships and to make the Peds ED successful.
Wow.
I knew I knew some of the obstacles that you see in the adult world, and I worked really hard to mitigate those as we were developing the Peds side of it. And I was lucky. I mean, I just had great partners that worked
incredible.
really hard and that were also committed to it.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Oh, that's really cool.
It was a perfect storm.
That's great, Jennifer. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I have to glow on you a little bit here.
Nah.
So once again, here I did some internet research, and that's right. So so I'll say the without obviously as I'm sure our listeners, the people that don't know you can tell you got a lot of personality, and you're very infectious and engaging and stuff. And so you won multiple outstanding teaching awards from both the Ped side, and I was shocked to see internal medicine. How did you get teaching awards from internal medicine side?
Shocking. I have no idea. No idea. Can you imagine that?
Figure that is incredible. How are you interfacing with the internal medicine resident or
just
the I don't know maybe
the residents?
Oh my gosh, that's unreal.
And just realizing that you can always catch more flies with honey.
That's true. Oh, that's good advice. That's good advice, Josh. Thank you.
So I would try to see their side of things, and I would again, hopefully at my core, I'm a clinician. Yeah. And a lot of those same principles apply. So if I had something interesting, I'd drag them into the room. I'd try to teach them physical exam tips that, aren't taught so much anymore in medical school and aren't emphasized as much. God, that's a miracle, though. It'll probably never happen again because they don't even want to come down there.
I know, exactly. It's so I was so surprised to see that, but clearly it makes sense now. And then, so then there's two like juggernaut awards you received. I saw these are huge at the University of Florida College of Medicine. You got the David A. Paulus Award for Clinical Excellence in 2015, which is like the best of the best. And then I didn't even know there was one of these, but it makes sense too. in 2021, you got a Lifetime Achievement Award. So those are huge
I
awards.
must admit,
Yeah.
I'm pretty proud of those. The Lifetime Achievement's interesting because the faculty council does that. And most of the people that get that, if you read back, my God, their like publications are 50 pages long.
Wow.
You know, these are people that have held national office in their regulating bodies and all. And I'm just a country girl. You know, I'm a country girl that hopefully is a good clinician. And hopefully I've contributed to the university and to help develop good clinicians to improve the reputation of the university in our community. I don't know. That was pretty good. Dave Paulus, my God, I knew him well, and I could not be any more proud of that award. He was an engineer, a scientist, a clinician. He was one of the ones that would always come to the ED to pick up his patients and take them to the OR. Always had students following him around. Was a terrific clinician, was very hands-on. Unfortunately died incredibly young.
Oh no.
So those two were they were pretty cool. And I must admit, there was one time that I got the teaching award from the EM residents, which I figured, and it was early on, it was in the first few years. Brandon may very well remember what year it was.
Yeah.
But for me, as a non-EM trained person, that too is one of my biggest achievements.
Oh, that's incredible. Good. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm lucky. I've had a terrific experience. I've worked around phenomenal people and teachers. Some of the professors that were there when I first started, my God, they would come down and quiz me. Mel Greer, for those of you that are older out there. Mel Greer was one of the neurologists. Oh my golly. And he came down the first time I met him, he's quizzing me on the choreiform motions with strep. I swear to God. I don't even think he realized I wasn't attending.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. But obviously I made a somewhat good impression because every time he came down, he'd try to teach something and engage me in something.
That's the beauty of academics. We're always learning, you know, we're really just lifelong learning to the max, even as attendings. I love that about this.
And I am never too proud to call somebody up and say, hey, I need some help here. I have no idea. Or to ask them to explain something. And, you know, I feel like a day that you have walked out of that ER and not learned something, you've wasted that day.
You've missed it. You've completely missed the opportunity. Yes, exactly. It's wasted.
Because every day is an opportunity to learn there. From your partners, from the students, from the nurses, everybody.
Absolutely.
You know?
Amen to that. Absolutely. So you did have children and a family. You made it happen. So I heard a little bit about your kids from Judy.
From Judy, the big mouth.
Yes, that's right.
She's one of my best friends. I play mahjong with her now.
I know. You guys are real tight. So, and I love Judy too. She's wonderful. I'm going to have her on at some point.
Oh yeah, you should. She has terrific background. Great education. Yeah,
absolutely. So tell me about your two kids and what they do.
My oldest is Alexa. She is a fertility doctor in Houston, Texas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, but that's actually probably kind of it's gonna be dicey these days, right? In Texas.
It's very interesting. Not only in Texas, but the whole fertility thing. I think her dad has probably overcome the fact that she left academic medicine. But because she did some great bench research on cell polarity. Way over my head. Yeah. But she's happy as a clam.
Oh, good for her. Good. Good for her.
Is in a private practice group, but has an affiliation with University of Texas at Houston
Oh, cool.
and Herman
Nice.
Hospital.
Oh, that's
My
right.
son is a
Mhm.
senior vice president for Citibank or
Wow.
Citigroup, I guess. But
Yeah,
he spent almost 10 years in the military, left a
I
captain
heard that. Wow.
of the infantry, and
Incredible.
would
Wow.
have been career, I have no doubt,
Hmm.
except for a woman he met. That was his
Oh.
kryptonite. So he ended up getting out. I thank you all for your
Yeah.
tax dollars because you put him through Emory Business School.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And yeah, and now he does what he does. I have two
Oh, good for
grandchildren
him.
from him,
Yeah.
which
Oh,
is
well, I heard about grandchildren, and I hear you have. You still have? Do you have the weekly Zoom dinners? Is that a thing?
oh yes, we did. We
Yes.
not so
Right.
much in the last year.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, once COVID has
Yeah.
sort of been over,
Right.
we've gone our ways. But
Yeah.
yeah, that
Yep.
was one way we found to connect. And I do
Mm-hmm.
still
Yeah.
travel with both of my kids.
Mm.
Um, after one particular trip to India when they
Oh,
were in
wow.
college, we don't usually travel the three of us together anymore. I take one or the other. Oh yes, and I have a lot of fun travel stories, but
Uh-huh.
I do still travel a lot. My daughter and I leave in a
Yeah.
couple of weeks for the Lower Danube cruise. So we're going to do Croatia, Bulgaria, Romania, and Serbia.
Wow. Wow.
That's
That sounds
different.
amazing. So exotic
Yeah,
too. I hear you are quite the travel enthusiast.
I love
And
traveling.
yes. Oh, good for
And
you. Good for you.
I always told my kids, I may not leave you a lot of money, but you will have seen the world.
That's cool.
And that's true. And I've taken
Yeah.
the oldest grandchild I took to, with the parents, of course,
Hmm.
to Denmark and Sweden
Oh, neat.
a couple of
Yeah.
years back. So that was good.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, that's
Yeah.
so cool. That's so cool. Now, tell me about I heard about a couple other of your hobbies. Now,
Ha!
you mentioned one already. I have to admit, you're gonna blow your mind, but I don't even know what mahjong is.
Oh, I cannot believe that.
I have
Michael,
no idea. I have no idea what it is.
Michael,
I know. I didn't look it up. I wanted you to tell me. I wanted you to tell me, so I didn't look it
Mahjong.
up. And it,
Well, when I
yes,
retired, I
yes,
figured I had to do something to fill my time. And I
yes.
started looking things to keep brain healthy.
Okay,
And, a lot of them talked about games.
okay.
And I knew I was not going to do chess because there is no way
Mm-hmm.
in God's green earth I could sit still and think that
Oh,
long.
right,
But
right.
surprisingly, with Mahjong, I can sit in a chair for 4 or 5 hours. It is a tile game from China, and it's not the
Okay,
match thing that you see online. It's more
okay.
like a sort of like a gin rummy, maybe,
Hmm.
but it's a lot more challenging. And I
Yes.
play two different styles. I play Chinese, which is the more traditional, and then I
Okay.
play American Mahjong, which developed in the Jewish community back in the 20s when it was
Oh,
imported to the United States.
interesting. Oh,
And
wow.
it's my God, it is fascinating because it's fast paced. You have to make
Yes.
decisions quickly.
Okay.
It's somewhat strategic,
Yes.
and it clearly involves a lot of memory skill because you
Okay.
have to memorize and remember what tiles have been played and all.
Oh, wow.
Jason Jones' mom, I met
Yes.
her at Mahjong because she
No
plays
way.
Thursday
No way.
afternoons.
I
Oh, yeah.
cannot believe it. I can't wait to ask about this. This is great.
Yes, Jason
Yes.
Jones and Steve DeBono, who was one of the EM firefighters, or
Uh-huh.
maybe he was just a paramedic.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
a lot of people will recognize that name. I play with his
Yeah.
mom too.
That's great.
So it's been a great way to get
Yeah.
me up and out of the
Yes.
house and meeting a lot of new people and still kind
Uh-huh.
of keep my mind engaged.
Oh, that's great.
I
Wow.
do a little Tai Chi. God, I know people cannot
Oh,
imagine me doing that, but oh yes.
no, that's great. You
And
got
a
to do
little
stuff for your physical
Pilates,
health, and yeah, uh-huh. And Tai Chi, there's a meditative quality to it, right?
which is absolutely shocking that I would like. There is. There, there is very much a peaceful Zen quality to it, which usually would not describe me. But maybe that is what I've been missing all these years.
Maybe that's the missing piece, huh?
Yes. So
That's
I'm
great.
finding my center point, my
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
chi.
That's right. That's good. That's good. And then, okay, so tell me, I heard you're a baseball fan.
Oh my God. I
Who's
adore
your team?
baseball.
Who's your team?
I do. Probably at Houston Astros, just because my daughter
Mm-hmm.
lives there and we can go to
Yep.
games there.
Okay. Oh,
I was
that's cool.
always a
Yeah.
big Braves fan.
Oh, yeah.
But
And
the last few years have been sort of tough for them. Now they're sort of
yeah.
climbing out of
Yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Big time they are.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but the Astros, I like Altuve. My God, he's
Oh.
magnificent.
Uh-huh.
And
Mm-hmm.
Verlander just went back to them. Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
He left for the
He
big bucks, and now he's back.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, wow. Well, they're making a run this year, so
They'll make a run. Yeah,
absolutely.
they will.
Absolutely. And have you gotten into have you followed the University of Florida, the Gators in
Oh, I
baseball?
all through. Yes, I
Oh, you
followed
did.
them. Not so
Yes.
much through the regular season,
Uh-huh.
but certainly in the playoffs.
Oh my gosh. This was such
Yeah,
an exciting year. I
it's a
was
great
this is
year.
my first year at UF, and wow, what an exciting time to follow them and watch the games on the College World
Oh
Series.
yeah.
Holy cow. I can't wait to go to games next year now because of this year.
I do follow LSU a little bit because of Miss Chrissy. It's hard.
Ah.
It's hard
Chrissy
to.
Zaretsky, yes, exactly, yes. And I
It,
trained in Louisiana too, so same
did
thing. I
you?
mean, I did. Oh yeah, I went to LSU for residency in New Orleans,
Did
so
you?
I do follow LSU as
And
well. I
so
respect
you did,
their
yeah, did you
yes.
watch
It was
the
a lot
College
of
World
fun.
Series with
Oh, I
them?
did
Ooh.
absolutely. It was
And
so
Cruz has
exciting.
already hit his
Yeah.
first home run in the majors.
Oh,
It-
oh my gosh!
yeah, I
Wow!
think he played one or two games in like their sub A, and they
Wow!
immediately
They
bumped him
bumped him.
up. But he's
Wow!
like 4 for
Oh my!
7 with a home run
Oh my
already.
gosh, you're way more into it than I am. Holy cow,
No,
that's
it's
incredible.
fun,
Yeah,
and Chrissy is
yeah.
just so much fun to follow her teams
Oh
with.
yes, yes,
We
absolutely. You gotta
text a
love that
lot.
LSU, that Louisiana connection.
The Louisiana
Absolutely.
connection. Amen, brother.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay, so let me finish off on two kind of questions that I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
One is like, since two things. Any advice for new faculty, and then also any advice for those nearing retirement? Because retirement can be challenging, like you said. People struggle with retiring and the change in life. So I want to know that any new faculty advice for new faculty and advice for those nearing
I
retirement, how
tell
to
you,
deal with
new
the change. Yeah.
faculty, it's been so long since I've been there.
Uh-huh.
But the one thing I would say, and probably the biggest reason that I stayed at UF were my
Mm-hmm.
partners.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
really, I adore the people I've worked with. Dave
Yeah.
Muir, I can't, what a
Oh, yeah,
kind,
Dave.
gentle
Mm-hmm.
soul. And
Mm-hmm.
Charlie
Mm-hmm.
Lukey and Rowing and all of these people. Brandon Allen has reached out a couple of times. These are lovely people.
Yeah.
And I can
Yeah.
honestly say that I never once, not a single time, had to miss anything that was really important because someone wouldn't trade with me.
Oh, that's
And
wonderful.
I know
Yeah.
they've done it.
Yeah.
Trish Sloan has done it. All of
Mm-hmm.
my partners did at some point,
Yep.
and end
Yeah.
up doing, really quick turnarounds to come back to cover. So
Wow.
I would, for the young faculty, I'd say your life will only be made better if you are the kind of faculty member that you would like them to be.
That's
Help
great
out when you
advice.
can.
Wow.
And if you
That's
can't, say
perfect.
no, but say call me
Yeah.
again later.
Yeah.
Ask later.
Absolutely.
Because
Yep.
that they will get you. They will be the ones that will get you through. It's not going to be leadership necessarily. It's
Right.
not going to be the College of Medicine.
Right.
It's going to be the person sitting next to you.
Mm.
And that's one of the sad things that I find in the AED, because there are so many
Mm-hmm.
faculty there at once.
Yeah.
But you don't see any of them.
That's right.
Y'all
They're
are
separated.
separated.
Different areas.
And
Yes.
ask Dave.
Yeah.
We used to
Yeah.
sit up all at the counter in the
Uh-huh.
ED, in the South Tower ED.
Uh-huh.
And we were all there together. And
Mm-hmm.
you shared cases. You talked to each other about what you'd seen. You talked about how
Yeah.
pissed off you were about X, Y, or Z. And you all don't have that luxury now.
Right.
And that's,
Yeah.
that's sort of hard.
Mm. Yeah.
As far as retirement, I'm
Mm-hmm.
shocked at how easy it was for me. But I think
wow.
that's because things had gotten, just tough, just really tough. And I was finally to the point I said, "Phew, no more. I can't do this anymore." Because there are all kinds of rules and regulations and guidelines and things that don't make much sense to you. But I approached it very like you would hopefully expect from me. I approached it in a very linear way. Okay, I got these hours I need to fill. How am I going to fill them? And that's when I get the most bang from a buck.
Good for you. Absolutely.
So, I got a PCP for the first time in my life.
Jennifer.
Yes, I was over 70.
Oh, that is so bad. Doctors are the worst patients.
We're worse.
We're the terrible patients. Yeah.
But I thought, I need to get some exercise. Probably need to do some exercise. So I found things I like doing. I found games I enjoyed playing.
Yeah.
And I made myself go into places that I was uncomfortable, like the senior center. I mean, really? Meet people that I had what I thought very little in common with and find common ground.
That's cool. Yeah.
Don't sit at home. Now, I do read a lot. My God, I read 4 or 5 books a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I wish I had the time for that. That is awesome. Yes, that's
awesome?
incredible.
And I'll read like right now I have a John Le Carre I'm reading. I have Balkan Ghosts, which is editorials about the Balkan Wars from the late 80s and 90s. And then I have James Patterson and Daniel Silva.
The full spectrum.
I have the whole spectrum.
Yeah.
But I can do that. I can explore now things that I couldn't otherwise.
Oh, wow.
I still go out. I still try to find people to talk to. I'm not a real big one on volunteering for organizations, but I know lots of people do. You just have to be careful as a retired person when you do that because it becomes like a job. And I had several people say that to me. If you get too involved, it'll be like a job. And I didn't want that.
You don't want
maybe in a couple of years, but not now.
Yeah. Perfect. That's good for you. Good for you.
I'm lucky.
All right. Last question. I ask everyone this.
Okay.
What makes the University of Florida emergency medicine, or in your case, you've spanned multiple departments, multiple decades. What makes UF special?
The people.
That's always the answer too.
Yeah.
Everyone says that.
It's not. I tell you, it is not necessarily leadership. Although in my case, when Adrian was there for so many years. Heck, even Dave Seaberg and I, my golly, we had an interesting relationship. But, I've enjoyed all of my chairs. But more than that, I enjoyed my partners, my colleagues. It was the Dave Muirs and Charlie Lukes and Brandons and Judy Lucas and Carolyn. And, these are terrific people.
Amen to
Chrissy
that.
would always have something going on. Every single one of my partners has brought something to the table, and that's probably what kept me here. And I do like Gainesville. It's a nice place to raise children.
Wonderful place. Wonderful place.
Do you
Love
have children?
Gainesville. Not yet. In 1 month, I'll have a child with my wife, Charlotte. Yes. 1 month away. Thank you.
And you can call any of us anytime.
Oh, thank you. We'll need that support and healthcare. So.
Oh, that's great. That's really, really nice. But raising kids is here. The community is relatively small and you make a lot of contacts that way. And to this day, I'll go in and somebody will say, "Hey, aren't you Will Clapp's mom?" Because you're never yourself anymore. You're somebody's mom or dad.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But so many people that I see that, our kids grew up together.
Oh, wow.
And
that's great.
For me, that's what makes the University of Florida great.
Incredible. You couldn't have said enough. Like that's a great way to end it.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Jennifer Light, thank you so much.
Michael,
this has been a wonderful conversation, and I can't wait to share this with everyone. They're going to be really excited. That's all for this episode. Special thanks to our chair, Dr. Mary Patterson, for supporting this podcast, and to Dr. Giuliano DePortu for composing our theme music. I'm Michael Petrauskas. Be well.